Y'all do not know me, I shoot like I'm Kobe. That boy really tough on his dozy though. I keep a drink, ain't no OVO. I ain't even nine, just...
Why would you shoot her over some senseless fast food that wasn't necessary? It's so hard to sink in right now, I don't understand. And there I seen my daughter been shot at Steak and Shake over some French fries. I just wish they find the person who did this and bring justice to my family.
This is Chantia Meakans, 31 years old, working late at a Steak and Shake drive-thru, unaware that tonight would change everything. She had been there for over 4 months, grinding, working hard, just trying to make ends meet. The night seemed ordinary. Customers coming and going, orders taken, fries passed through the window. But by the end of her shift, her life would be gone in a way no one could have imagined. In the early hours of April 8, 2026, around 11:30 p.m., St. Louis County Police were called to the Steak and Shake on Bellefontaine Road, North St. Louis County. What they found stunned them. Chantia lay lifeless, shot multiple times. Her work shift ended forever. The reason? An argument over onion rings. That's right, a simple fast food dispute over onion rings escalated into something deadly. Surveillance cameras captured the moment. A vehicle pulling up, a figure inside, face hidden, hands steady, and 8 shots fired into the restaurant. Every step was deliberate. But the horror didn't stop there. What happened after those shots would twist the investigation into a story far darker than anyone expected. A night that should have been ordinary had turned into a nightmare. But before we get into what happened, you need to understand who Chantia Meakans really was, because the internet has spent years turning her into a joke or a plot twist, and she was neither one of those things.
Okay.
Up till I was a baby, she always grabbing my cheeks. She always grabbing my cheeks all the time. Like Chantia, would you please stop grabbing my cheeks? I am not no baby no more.
32-year-old Chantia Lachelle Meakans was born on April 23, 1983. She had a family who loved her deeply. Her mother, Tamila Washington, described her as kind, generous, and full of life. A woman who would give you the shirt off her back without hesitation. Which was more than a surprise why someone would just decide to shoot her during her work hours. Those who knew Chantia immediately remembered her warm heart and bright smile. She had lived in the St. Louis metropolitan area all her life, surrounded by familiar streets, schools, and neighbors who saw her grow up. From a young age, she was a thoughtful child, attentive to others, and always striving to do well in school. Her education had been steady and practical. She attended local schools in the area, learning not just academics, but the value of responsibility, perseverance, and hard work. That sense of responsibility carried into her adult life. Chantia balanced 2 jobs, one at Steak and Shake and another at Family Dollar, because she had big dreams and needed the income to reach them. She wasn't standing at that window because she had nowhere else to be. She was there because she was grinding, working hard, doing her job. Her mother said she didn't bother anybody. That matters. It matters because what happened to her at that window was not random in the way people mean when they call something random. Someone made a choice, a specific, deliberate choice to pull out a weapon and fire it at another human being over a fast food order. That is not an accident. That is not a moment of chaos that nobody could have predicted. That is a person deciding in real time and with full awareness that a complaint about onion rings was worth a life. The weight of that decision is staggering. It wasn't a chance, it wasn't confusion, it was intent. And that intent turned an ordinary shift at a restaurant window into a tragedy that rippled through a family, a community, and everyone who hears this story. Chantia was disciplined, resilient, and someone who managed her life with a focus on her goals. Even while working late shifts, she kept a sense of humor and treated her coworkers like family. Chantia had worked at that location for roughly 4 months. 4 months of learning the pace of the job, the rhythm of the customers, the flow of the shifts. In that short time, she had already become part of the team, someone her coworkers could rely on. She wasn't just passing through, she was building something. 4 months meant she had settled into the routine, knew the regulars, and understood the demands of the window where orders were taken and delivered. It meant she had shown up day after day, balancing her responsibilities, proving her resilience. And that is what makes the tragedy so piercing. She had invested herself in that job, in those shifts, in those people. She had built a rhythm, a routine, a sense of stability. 4 months of effort erased in a single violent moment. And at Family Dollar, she brought the same energy, greeting customers with kindness, making sure shelves were stocked, and proving that even small acts of care could brighten someone's day. Her life was not glamorous, but it was full of meaning. Every paycheck, every long shift, every smile she offered was part of a bigger picture, a woman determined to build stability, to chase her dreams, and to give her family the best she could. Chantia also had a personal life that mattered. She had relationships, friendships, and a support network that loved her. Her mother especially was close to her, a guiding presence she trusted. Tamila remembered planning Chantia's upcoming 33rd birthday on April 23rd and cooking her favorite meal for her. Those plans were small but meaningful gestures that showed the care in their family bond. Chantia called her mother that day during her break, laughing, making plans, and sharing the ordinary details of her life. But that call would be the last time she spoke to her mother. Her life, by every measure, was full of promise. But that evening at the drive-thru, something horrific happened. What began as a routine transaction, serving food to a customer, quickly escalated to a tragic situation. The store manager later explained that the shift had been normal until it wasn't. That's the part that makes this case sit differently than most. Everything about that night began like any other. Customers coming and going, orders taken, fries passed through the window. There was no escalating threat, no warning signs, no prior incident that put anyone on edge. And then, in a moment, the ordinary became unthinkable. The vehicle that pulled up to the window that night had an issue with an order, specifically a second portion of onion rings that the customer claimed she never received. That was the complaint. That was the starting point of what followed. Words were exchanged, tension grew, and then, before anyone could react further, shots were fired. 8 rounds, fired through the drive-thru window. Chantia was hit twice in the torso. She never made it home. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Her male co-worker, also at the window, was struck in the hand but survived after treatment. The vehicle fled, and as of now, no suspects are in custody. Those who witnessed it, including the surviving co-worker, described chaos and shock, but one detail stands out. This was not random. Someone made a deliberate choice to use lethal force over what, in the end, was a complaint about food. Someone decided, consciously, that a fast food argument was worth a life. The drive-thru window, shattered in the incident, became the symbol of a life cut short. A young woman, only 13 days away from her 33rd birthday, had her ordinary night transformed into a tragedy. She never returned to her family. Her mother, standing outside the scene the next day, was left asking the same impossible question over and over. Why? Not why in a legal sense, not why in a courtroom sense, but why in the human sense. Why would someone take her life for something so small?
A mother is demanding answers after her daughter was shot and killed while working a late-night shift at Steak 'n Shake. Investigators say it all started with a drive-thru dispute and ended with bullets flying. This happened last night on Bell Fountain Road in North St. Louis County. Our Megan Kernan has been on scene all afternoon. Megan?
Mike, this Steak 'n Shake is closed today after 32-year-old Chantia Meakans was killed here and this drive-thru now boarded up. We talked to her mother, who tells us this was completely senseless and says no one should lose their life over something as simple as fast food. Police say it started around 11:30 last night with a confrontation in the drive-thru between customers inside a car and employees. During the argument, one of the people in the car pulled out a gun, shot through the window, and sped away. Chantia Meakans was hit and killed. Another employee was shot, but is expected to survive. Meakans' mother says she had just talked to her daughter a few hours before this happened. She says she rushed here after seeing posts online, only to find shattered glass, her daughter's car, and a scene she says she'll never forget.
Been shot at Steak 'n Shake over some French fries. I just want to know why. Why would you shoot her? You didn't have to shoot her or the other employee. I just wish they find the person who did this and bring justice to my family. I just want my baby back.
Meakans' mother says her daughter started working here a few months ago, juggling multiple jobs, and was looking forward to celebrating her birthday in just 2 weeks. Police have not released any kind of suspect description and are still looking for the shooter. If you have any information, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers at 866-371-TIPS. Live in North St. Louis County, Megan Kernan, 5 on your side.
Chantia's life, while now ended, left a mark. Everyone who knew her remembered her generosity, her dedication, and her kindness. She had worked hard, loved deeply, and planned for a future she would never see. The senselessness of her death, happening in a public space with cameras, witnesses, and yet no immediate answers, left the community in shock. The St. Louis County Police Department responded quickly, but the vehicle had vanished, leaving investigators with evidence to collect, but no immediate leads. The drive-thru lane, normally a place of routine and convenience, became a crime scene. As the morning light touched the shattered window, the community began to grasp the weight of what had happened. The drive-thru window, once the steady point of contact between the restaurant's interior and the outside world, was left shattered. That window is in every photograph taken the following morning. You can see the surveillance camera positioned at the far end of the drive-thru lane, angled to capture exactly what comes through that line. Whatever that camera recorded that night is now in the hands of investigators. Police have not publicly confirmed what the footage shows or whether the vehicle or its occupants have been identified from it. What they have confirmed is that the vehicle fled immediately after the shooting. No one at the scene was able to stop it. The silence of those unanswered questions only deepened the shock. A crime so sudden, so deliberate, and yet the people responsible had vanished into the night. The photographs of that window, the camera angled down the lane, the unanswered questions, they became symbols of the investigation itself. A reminder that even with technology, even with witnesses, sometimes the truth slips away in the chaos of violence. The surviving coworker became a central witness. He described the exchange at the window before the shooting, the words, the argument over the missing onion rings, and the vehicle itself. His testimony helped investigators piece together what happened, giving them a clearer picture of the event and the shooter's possible position. Investigators noted the severity and intent. 8 shots fired in an enclosed space showed a deliberate, calculated act. This was not someone who fired a single shot in panic and fled. It was a burst of gunfire deliberately aimed into a confined space where people were gathered. Whatever drove the shooter, anger, impulse, or a disregard for consequences, they pulled the trigger 8 times before leaving the scene. That level of sustained fire speaks to intent, even if the identity of the person responsible remains unknown.
Our top story, deadly violence in the drive-thru.
Why would you shoot her over some senseless fast food that wasn't necessary?
Tonight, a heartbroken mother and community leaders try to make sense of a senseless tragedy. Right now, St. Louis County Police are still looking for the person who opened fire during the drive-thru dispute. This is 5 on your side at 10. I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Kelly Jackson. One worker was killed, another injured late last night at the Steak and Shake on Bellefontaine Road, just north of 270 in North St. Louis County. 5 on your side's Robert Townsend has the emotional interview with a grief-stricken mother who now wants justice.
It's a heart-wrenching sight. A devastated Tamala Washington walked up and covered her face in disbelief as she stared at the shattered Steak and Shake drive-thru window where her daughter was shot and killed.
Oh, it's just so hard to see in right now. I don't understand.
32-year-old Chantia Meakans had only worked at the fast food restaurant for 3 months.
It was senseless and it was hurtful.
St. Louis County Police say around 11:30 Wednesday night, a confrontation between employees and a customer inside a car broke out. They say during the argument, one of the people in the car pulled out a gun, shot through the drive-thru window, and then the driver sped off. Meakans died at the scene.
There's her car right there.
Tamala Washington spoke to her daughter just hours before Chantia lost her life.
It wasn't any need for me to worry about, because when she called me, she was calm, cool, and peaceful, and she was happy.
Her mom rushed here after seeing posts online.
And there I'd seen my daughter been shot at Steak and Shake over some French fries. You just had to ask, and they would have probably remade your order if you would have just been nice.
Police say Meakans' male co-worker is expected to be okay. So as police search for the person who shot the 2 Steak and Shake workers, community leaders are once again pleading for peace and calling for an end to the gun violence so many people are sick of.
Access to guns are too easy.
John Bowman is the president of the St. Louis County NAACP. Can the violence be curbed?
We're going to have more stringent gun laws. We definitely have to get back control of our region.
Meantime, this grief-stricken mom
It's not right.
must now bury her daughter 2 weeks before Chantia's 33rd birthday.
I just wish they find the person who did this and bring justice to my family.
Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
Right now, police have not released a description of the shooter or the car they're looking for. If you know anything, call St. Louis County Police or Crime Stoppers. It's 866-371-TIPS.
Law enforcement expanded their investigation beyond the immediate scene. They called for public assistance, asking anyone with information about the vehicle, its occupants, or the incident to come forward. Crime Stoppers was activated, offering a tip line and a reward for information leading to an arrest. Officers reminded the public that anonymity was protected, encouraging anyone who knew something to share it without fear.
St. Louis County Police say they are still searching for whoever shot a Steak and Shake employee to death in a drive-thru last week. 32-year-old Chantia Meakans was shot and killed last Wednesday at a Spanish Lake Steak and Shake on Bell Fountain Road. This is near I-270. According to Meakans' mother, the shooting stemmed from a disagreement over onion rings. First Alert Force stopped by that location and found closed signs taped to the windows. County police say there are no new developments in this case, and they are asking the community to keep submitting tips.
Digital evidence became another crucial focus. Police sought traffic camera footage, surveillance from nearby gas stations, and any recordings that might show the vehicle leaving the area. By combining these points, they hoped to identify the car and its occupants. Investigators emphasized that while the suspect or suspects were still at large, they were actively following every lead and analyzing every detail of the night. The investigation also highlighted the broader social context. Community leaders like James Clark from the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis noted that gun violence was increasing in the area. The willingness to use firearms in everyday disputes, even over something as small as a missing order, reflected a troubling shift in local norms.
We should no longer be surprised. The rate of violence that is happening in the St. Louis metropolitan area should be alarming to all of us.
This environment made the investigation more complex as the potential number of suspects grew and witnesses became more hesitant to come forward. James Clark's remarks about the shifting culture of violence in the St. Louis area did not stand alone. By the time this case emerged, St. Louis County had already recorded at least 49 homicides in 2026. Chantia's death is counted among them, another entry in a growing list that residents are watching rise with concern. This was a violent act that could have been prevented. A life lost because of a momentary dispute. 8 deliberate shots ended Chantia's life, and a family was left circling the remnants of a night that should have been ordinary. Her birthday, her call to her mother, the plans for a meal, all became fragments of a life that will never continue. The choices of one person created consequences felt by many: family, friends, co-workers, and the wider community. Chantia Lachelle Meakans deserved to see her 33rd birthday. She deserved to continue building her life, to experience love, happiness, and fulfillment. Instead, she was killed at the drive-thru window, leaving her family in grief, her co-workers in shock, and her community questioning how something so senseless could happen.
It means a lot to me. It knows that she was loved. A lot of people did care for her. You know, it was just an innocent life taken.
Flowers taped to a drive-thru window honoring a woman shot and killed on the job at a North County fast food restaurant. Well, nearly a week later, police are still searching for Chantia Meakans' killer. Meakans was shot last Wednesday. Her family says the dispute was over onion rings. Shoshana Stahl spoke to family members still waiting for answers tonight.
Flowers freshly added here to the drive-thru window where a Steak and Shake worker was shot and killed.
This is the last place she was, so it's only right for us to visit and put roses.
It's been 6 days since Chantia Lachelle Meakans was killed. As family embraces at the spot she took her last breath, her mom, Tamila Washington, says the days without her daughter have left her with one question: why?
You should be able to come to work and be safe and leave the way you came. I just can't understand you. You get up in the morning, you get dressed, you go to work. You should be able to come home, back home to your family.
St. Louis County Police say 2 workers were shot after a confrontation at the drive-thru. Her dad and the person she was named after, Chantia Meakans, tells First Alert 4 the argument was over onion rings.
I live in Atlanta. I had to get that call in the middle of the night.
Meakans was weeks away from her 33rd birthday. Instead of celebrating, her family is now planning her funeral. The person responsible still hasn't been arrested or charged in her murder.
You are going to be held accountable one way or another. Believe that. I am a child of God. My daughter was a child of God, and I believe God is going to reveal any kind of way that's possible. God got this.
Police haven't given any information on the suspect or suspects in this investigation. First Alert 4 is told surveillance video from the Steak and Shake exists.
Is there a reason why police departments maybe don't release surveillance photos or videos if they have them when there is an active investigation?
Yeah, from time to time, due to the investigation, there are certain details that we may not want to make public.
Police say they do have promising leads.
I'm looking forward to bringing some kind of resolution and conclusion and providing some justice to the Meakans family.
There were witnesses here. There were people in live, and I'm just praying and wishing that someone speak up.
If you have any information on this shooting, police are asking for you to call detectives or Crime Stoppers. In North St. Louis County, Shoshana Stahl, First Alert 4.
The shooting at the Steak and Shake rocked Spanish Lake, Missouri, sparking fear and disbelief among residents. Tamila Washington, Chantia's mother, remained at the center of the story. Her grief was visible, but so was her determination. She spoke publicly at the scene, asking her daughter's killer to turn themselves to the police. Her persistence kept the case in the public eye, maintaining pressure on investigators and keeping the community aware. The family's advocacy reinforced the importance of the investigation. Chantia's life and death were not just statistics, but a human tragedy demanding justice. The community is watching and waiting. News outlets reported updates, highlighting both the investigation and the human cost. Local residents were reminded that violence could strike anywhere, even in familiar, everyday places. The investigation's goal was clear: to bring the person or people who shot Chantia to justice, ensuring that no one else would face similar tragedy. The investigation into Chantia Lachelle Meakans' death continues, and the community waits anxiously for answers. With no suspects in custody, the case drew intense media attention. News outlets covered every development, repeating the facts. A 32-year-old woman shot 8 times at a drive-thru window over a fast food dispute. Her male co-worker injured but alive, the shooter still at large. Family and friends struggled to understand. Tamila Washington, Chantia's mother, became a public voice for her daughter. She spoke of Chantia's life, her work ethic, and her dreams. She reminded everyone that her daughter was more than a headline. She was a kind, giving person who worked 2 jobs and had plans for her future. Her grief was raw, but so was her determination. The community shared in that grief. Messages of condolence, social media posts, and local vigils highlighted how many lives Chantia had touched. Neighbors, co-workers, and strangers alike mourned her loss. Many expressed outrage that such violence could occur over something as trivial as a missing order. People shared stories of Chantia's kindness, reinforcing her humanity in a narrative that might otherwise focus solely on the crime.
But first, sending love to the sky.
1, 2, 3.
loved ones remember a daughter, sister, and friend killed on the job.
It don't really matter what it is, it's the fact that it even happened. Killed my only baby, my only baby.
Tonight, a North County community continues to mourn just days after a Steak and Shake employee was shot and killed in the drive-thru. Good evening, I'm Laura Barcheski. Mike Bush has the night off. New tonight, 5 on Your Side has confirmed the franchise owner says he's now walking away from the business. Our Brent Solomon joins us with the message from the grieving family demanding justice.
Laura, friends and family gathered today right at the scene of the shooting, all to remember a 32-year-old woman they say was simply trying to work her way through life when an argument over an order turned deadly.
Bless this family, Father, and camp your angels around us, oh God.
The parking lot of this Steak and Shake became a sanctuary Sunday. 32-year-old Chantia Meakans was one of 2 employees shot through the drive-thru. It happened at the window Wednesday night, following a confrontation over food. Police say someone in a car opened fire. Meakans died on the scene.
Killed my only baby over some onion rings.
Chantia's father says she was a sweet, humble person. She had only been working here for 3 months. Now her family is left to process the senseless nature of her loss.
You guys have no business killing her for some food. That it doesn't make any sense. Just walk away. You don't need to kill anybody. They never get a chance to live their life.
If you're not safe at work, then where you at? Like, I could be at work, then it could be me.
Between the tears, there were memories of a woman who loved music, her family, and according to her sister, never stopped treating her younger siblings like children.
Ever since I was a baby, she always grabbing my cheeks. She always grabbing my cheeks all the time. Like Chantia, would you please stop grabbing my cheeks? I am not no baby no more.
As balloons filled the air, the community turned its attention to the future, calling for an end to the cycle of violence across the region.
We as a community, we have to stick together. We don't need to be killing each other.
1, 2, 3.
Chancia's funeral was a solemn gathering. Family, friends, and community members came together to honor her life. People remembered her smile, her work ethic, and her generosity. 2 jobs, countless hours helping others, and dreams for her future. She had lived a full life, cut tragically short. Her mother, Tamila, stood strong, vowing that her daughter's death would not be forgotten. The funeral was both a farewell and a call for awareness about senseless violence in the community. As the case unfolded, investigators encouraged anyone with information to come forward. They emphasized that a single tip could break the case open. The Crime Stoppers tip line remains active, offering anonymity and a reward for information leading to an arrest. The message was clear. Even small details mattered. A neighbor, a passerby, or a friend might hold the clue that solved the case. This tragedy also became a lesson for the public. Communities were reminded to remain vigilant about violence and to support efforts that reduce conflicts before they escalate. Witnesses were urged to speak up, and families were encouraged to maintain awareness of potential dangers even in familiar, everyday settings. Chancia's life was a reminder that ordinary moments, a drive-thru shift, a late-night snack, can become deadly in an instant. In the weeks following the shooting, the story remained in public conversation. Families reflected on their own safety, communities discussed the broader issue of gun violence, and local leaders called for initiatives to prevent similar tragedies.
Access to guns are too easy.
John Bowman is the president of the St. Louis County NAACP. Can the violence be curbed?
We're going to have more stringent gun laws. We definitely have to get back control of our region.
Meantime, this grief-stricken mom
It's not right.
must now bury her daughter 2 weeks before Chancia's 33rd birthday.
I just wish they find the person who did this and bring justice to my family.
Tamila Washington continued to advocate for her daughter, keeping Chancia's name in the public eye. Her goal was not only justice, but awareness, so that no one else would face the same fate. Chantia Lachelle Meakans deserved a life full of promise, not an untimely death at a drive-thru window. Her story serves as a reminder: violence has consequences, and those who have information, no matter how small it seems, can make a difference. Keeping her memory alive is part of seeking justice and part of challenging a culture where a dispute over food can end a life. What do you think about it? Do you think Chantia's killer would be found? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.